Hello everyone, I am back with another Valentine card and another sneak peek of new My Favorite Things products. This is the new Pure Innocence heart banner stamp set and the little matching dynamics that cuts out the image. And as always, there will be a disclaimer below the video with the supplies that the links to some of these products will not work until Tuesday. And then there'll be a link to my blog post with all the info and links to the MFT blog and all that fun stuff if you are unfamiliar with any of that. And yeah, I had stamped the image with My Favorite Things Black Licorice Hybrid ink onto heavyweight Copic quality cardstock. And it had been die cut with the matching little die just to save on the fussy cutting. That's the one thing I really like about having the matching dies is it just saves me the time of having to cut out the image. So I decided this time to not do my go-to skin color combo and do a little bit of a deeper skin tone. I'm pretty sure I've done this one a couple times before, but this one is the E31, 33, 35, and 37. And I just went lightest to darkest and then kind of back and forth a little bit just to add in the color to kind of get it the way I wanted it. Yeah. And then for her hair, I wanted it to be kind of a darker brown. So I did E25, 27, and 29 and was a little bit heavier with the two darker colors, the 27 and 29, just to make it a little bit darker. And I love these little images because they're just so easy to color. You don't really have to put a whole ton of thought and effort into it. You can just sit and color and have fun with it. So for her dress, I decided since it's going to be a Valentine's card, I wanted to make her dress a really pretty red. So I started with my go-to color combo for reds, which is R24, 27, and 29. And again, starting lightest to darkest, just dragging kind of the color on, applying the lightest, then the 27, and then the 29. And then I decided I wanted to deepen this up a bit. I haven't done this very many times, but I really like the look of it. So I took R89, which is quite a bit deeper and is a more almost like a mulberry sort of red color. So really, really pretty. And just added that closer to just the edges. And it just deepens this whole red color combo. So once I've gone to the darkest, I'm now going to work my way back to the lightest. And I've said it a million times before. Red is finicky. It doesn't matter if you're using Copics or dye inks or anything, just red has a tendency to go everywhere. So it takes some practice to keep it from literally seeping through all the lines and, just causing a big mess. And that's why when I'm Copic coloring, I generally do the red areas first, or I always do the skin and the hair first. But then any red areas, that's what I do next, because if I do go over the lines, I can kind of push it back out a little bit with any of the other colors I'm using to kind of clean up any mess I've made. So just another reason why I love Copics, because you can really fudge things. So after I did the dress, I just colored the little heart banner with some pinks, and her little socks, I just used BG quadruple 0, just a little tiny bit just to make it look more white. And then this part's hard to show on camera because I'm holding my marker straight up and down, but I'm using the Zero colorless blender. And I've shown it before in videos. It's basically I'm just pressing the pointed tip of the blender straight onto the dress to create polka dots. And then if you want to make them a little bit whiter and a little bit more defined, you let it sit for a minute to kind of dry, and then you just go over them again with the colorless blender, and you can see it makes them pop a little more. So it's a cute way to add some pattern to a Copic colored image. If you wanted the polka dots to be pure white, then use either the Copic opaque white paint or some craft paint. That would be one way around it. But sometimes I just like the look of how the colorless blender, it gives it some pattern without being completely eye-popping. And then if you watched yesterday's video, the Valentine series number 3, I had created this textured piece with the new background heart stencil and white embossing paste, and then didn't use it. And I said I was going to, so I decided to use it on this card. So that's what made this card even faster to create, because I already had that piece done and sitting here. So I set that aside, and for the sentiment, it comes with this little stamp set, and I just die cut some black cardstock with one of the smallest of the fishtail flags, layers, stacks, dynamics, say that 3 times fast. Die cut some black cardstock, then I used my anti-static powder tool to keep the embossing powder from clinging to everything, and then stamped the sentiment with Versamark sticky ink and embossed it with detail white embossing powder. and then melted that with my heat tool. And I mentioned this again, I think it was in yesterday's video, or the one before anyway, just recently. You can use a Swiffer cloth to remove the powder residue, or your fingers. Small little pieces like this, I usually just use my fingers to remove any of the anti-static powder residue. And I was going to kind of leave the front as is, but then I decided I wanted something to kind of frame the little main image. So this is another new die set that's going to be released on Tuesday. It's the Stitchable Heart Stacks Dynamics. And the kind of point with these ones is you can thread cord or ribbon or different things through the holes, or sew them together, or cut it with felt. But I just left it as is. I kind of liked how the holes just looked as is. You can kind of see through them. It's kind of cute little idea. So I just die cut some wild cherry cardstock with that, the largest die in that set, and then adhered it right over the embossed panel. And then I'm going to mat this with another piece of red cardstock. The original white cardstock panel I had die cut with the large Blueprints 1 Dynamics, and then to get the perfect frame for it, I die cut the red cardstock from the Blueprints 2 Dynamics, which I've done like a million, again, I always say a million, but a lot of times before. So I've got a perfect little mat peeking around that, and then the sentiment I applied full adhesive. I was originally going to trim it right off, but I decided to just fold it over this panel. It just kind of gives it a little something extra, and folded it over, and it's all adhered into place. And then for the last little bit of embellishment, I guess, I'm going to pop up this little main image with some foam dimensionals that I get from Jody Morrow, because they are fabulous. I've done reviews on these and shown these for years, and I have like a ton of them. So I don't know, I go back and forth between the foam tape and these. It just depends on whatever is closest to me, really, and these were. So grabbed those and popped her up. So it's got a little bit of extra dimension going on there. And then I'm going to adhere this to my card base, and it's a standard A2 sized card base, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And I did debate for a second whether or not to pop this up on foam tape, but I decided I was just going to adhere it flat. There was enough kind of texture and dimension going on. And again, if you were planning on mailing this and wanted it to fit in a standard A2 size card, I would trim off the part of the heart that hangs over the card. But I liked how it looked, and I didn't want to cut it off. So a card like this, I would either put it in a bigger envelope if I was going to mail it, or I would just give it to someone without the envelope. Whatever works for a person, whatever floats your boat, really. But yeah, I decided to just leave it because I like sometimes the extra elements kind of popping off cards to make it a non-standard, just A2 square size type card. So for the inside, I just die cut another heart with the medium sized stitchable heart stacks, and coated it with the anti-static powder tool, and then stamped another sentiment from the set with Versamark ink, and then the detail white embossing powder, and then melt that with my heat tool and wipe off any excess powder. And then I'm going to adhere that to the inside of the card, and that finishes it off. So there will be links below in the description box below the video. There'll be links to my blog post with all the pictures and info and everything else, as well as links to all the supplies used and links to my social media and all that fun stuff. So always all the info, check it out below. And thank you guys so much for watching, and all the comments and thumbs up and everything I get. I really appreciate it. And I will hopefully see you very soon again in another video. Bye.